Good morning, beginning farmer friends. Actually, now that I think about it, should I be saying good afternoon? Because I usually post these videos in the afternoon, not the morning. Or should I just say like, hello people, welcome to the channel. I'm the beginning farmer. I don't know. What is happening right now is it is raining. It is a beautiful rain. It is light. It is perfect. It is just, man, it's soaking into the ground. It's not running down the hills. It's like seeping into those cracks, which really isn't seeping. It can just like flood into the cracks. They're so big, but it is beautiful. There is a little lightning and a little thunder, but it's not raining hard right now. So I'm headed to town because the things that I need to do outside this morning are things with big metal pieces of equipment and things like that. So I think I'm gonna wait until the thunder and lightning is done. I'm gonna go get some work done in town and get a good start to my day. Then this afternoon when I come home, then I can go out. I'm gonna put some feed in for the pigs. Yeah, there's stuff I'm gonna do, but man, right now I'm just gonna enjoy this rain. I am back on the farm. As you can see, now I can say good afternoon, beginning farmer friends. I'm going to hook up the grinder mixer to the tractor. It's still a little misty right now, but not too bad. I'm going to take some feed out to the pigs on pasture. This is the first time that I've filled their feeder in the entire time that they've been out there. So I don't remember exactly how long they've been out there, but this is the first time that I've had to fill their feeder, so that's a good thing. My system for getting the auger out, it's kind of awful. I've got to use a 2x4 and walk back and forth and crank it, and someday we'll get it fixed, I hope, or maybe this grinder mixer will just break and I'll get a different grinder mixer. We'll see. After I get the auger unfolded, I gotta come over and take the lid off of this feeder. I use these bulk feeders. They work pretty well for me. This one is a little broken, so it doesn't meter the feed out as well as it should, or I guess I can't adjust it the way I'm supposed to, but it's starting to rain now. Of course it is. No complaints for me though on the rain. I haven't quite figured out how to get the crank fixed. I think something's broken in it. I'm gonna try to get this feed in quick before it pours. I guess this is the downside of raising pigs out on pasture. I mean the rain, never mind, there's no downside. After I get the grinder mixer started, I use this handle right here that I use to crank it out. I use it to open the door right here. This is gonna take two hands. The only other thing I do as it's filling up is I take this rubber mallet, make sure there's nothing sticking to the sides of the grinder mixer so I don't get any buildup and rust and things like that on the inside of the grinder mixer if there's any moisture. Let's take a second to see what the pigs are doing on a rainy, cloudy September day when it's like 50 degrees. Of course, there's a bunch of them up at the feeder because I just filled it up and they went to check it out. But a lot of them, as you can see, like came, ate a little bit, and then they took off into the pasture and they're doing their thing out here. In fact, I just saw one pig walk by with some foxtail in its mouth. That's awesome. Way to go, pigs. Way to go, pigs. Well, it looks like the pigs found a new place that they like to hang out there. They're heading west, young pigs, to a different part of the pig pasture. This pig came out, ate some feed, got a drink, wandering around the pasture now. See you later, little buddy. So I've got an idea, but I think I'm gonna have to go to town to make this idea work. I think it's a good idea. I'd like to have your thoughts on the idea, but I gotta tell you the idea first. So before I do that, since it's raining, I think I'm gonna unload the hay trailer that we loaded up yesterday and brought home. And then maybe I'll go to town and put this idea into motion. This book right here, it's related to the idea I had, so let's go back to the farm and talk about it. All right, well, I am back on the farm. I am in the freezer room, not the best place in the world to record, but when it's dark outside, it's really the only place that I have to record. The reason I went to town, though, is to get this book right here. This is The Lean Farm by Ben Hartman. I was reminded of this book the other day as I was mowing and raking and all of that good stuff because I was listening to a podcast. I think it's called Back to the Roots podcast or something like that. It's a podcast of a couple guys that host it that work for Organic Valley, organic dairy people, and so they interview a lot of organic dairy people. Early on in the podcast, they interviewed a lot of Amish farmers about their dairy and their systems and their setup. I just really enjoy listening to it because I like to hear about how other farms work and what works for them, even if it's a completely different type of farming than I'm doing. And organic dairy really is a completely different type of farming than I'm doing. But I got to listening to it, and this one interviewer, or person being interviewed, mentioned the book The Lean Farm, and I got to thinking, I've got a great idea for a series on the Beginning Farmer Show. What if I go back to that book? I haven't even read half of that book. I've had it for years. You saw how many books I had. Most of those books that I have, I read 15 years ago before I even started farming. Once I started farming, I probably really needed the information, but man, my reading time just went out the window. So here's the idea that I have. I am kind of, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I was going to tell you where I am on the farm, 10 being where I want to be and 1 being where I started, I would say I'm at a 2 right now. We have added a lot to the farm. None of the things that we have right now on this farm were here when we started. None of the skills that we have, none of the ideas, none of that. That was all not here. And so we've come a long ways, but compared to where I want to be, or maybe even more harshly put for me, compared to where I should be after the number of years that we've been farming, I'm not exactly there. There are a lot of things that I need to improve on to make our farm truly sustainable. And that's a word that gets thrown around a lot. I'll talk about that sometime, what my idea of sustainable is, because I've got a lot of thoughts on it from all those books that I read and my own thoughts and experiences. But here's the idea. The idea is I read the book, The Lean Farm, and we go through a series of leaning down our farm with the livestock, with the stuff, with the equipment, with everything that the lean system has to do with, and when you apply it to a farm. And I think it applies to a lot of places. I think it can, the system, from what I read, a quarter of the way through the book or a third of the way through the book, applies in a lot of places. And so what I want to do is take my farm, our farm, Crooked Gap Farm, to the place that it should be and that it needs to be for us to be sustainable, more sustainable than we are right now. So that's the idea. We're going to open this book, we're going to read it, and we're going to go on a journey. And part of that journey is going to be cleaning up this farm. There are a lot of places where I've collected and I've brought in that, we just need to clean it up. One of the things that we're going to do is those 3 things that I said need to be done ASAP. We're going to start hitting those because I feel like those are part of the lean system, getting good at specific things and certain things and moving the rest of the clutter out of the way. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I hope you guys come along for the journey. One little thought here, if you have an idea of how I can implement this best on my farm, I would love to hear it. Also, if you want to know about some of the other books that I flopped down on the table while I was looking for this one, I would love to hear that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up, give it a like, all of that good stuff. I hope you are all having a great day, and thank you for being a part of the Beginning Farmer.